The man who had secretly loved my girlfriend for 7 years announced he was giving up on her just before we registered our marriage. The price was one night with my pregnant girlfriend. Afterwards, my girlfriend told me. I just pitted him. One while editing wedding videos on my girlfriend Zhang Jing's computer. A WeChat message popped up on the screen. Xiao Jing, I beg you. After loving you for 7 years, I only asked for this final meeting. After this, we'll go our separate ways and never meet again. The WeChat username was Guard Jing for life. For some reason, it felt familiar, as if I'd seen that name somewhere before. Soon after, my girlfriend replied in the chat window. Send me the location. I felt as if struck by lightning. As Zhang Jing changed her clothes and walked over, I quickly closed the window and pretended to be editing a video. She affectionately wrapped her arms around my neck, pouting coquettishly, "Honey, I'm sorry. The company project suddenly needs overtime to prepare the bid documents. The boss ordered that it must be finished by tomorrow morning." I stiffly turned my neck and stared at her intently. Jing, it's not good for your health to stay up late working overtime while you're pregnant. At worst, you can quit this job. I'll take care of you. Her eyes sparkled as she looked at me with full of love. I just knew my hubby is the best to me, but I've already promised my boss. Honey, I swear this will be the last time I pull an all-nighter for work. She was always busy with work, and pulling all-nighters during hectic projects was routine for her. Yet she was clearly going to meet that admirer of hers, lying without the slightest blush or hesitation. Due to my upbringing, I've developed a keen sensitivity to emotional cues. At this moment, her face was glowing with a smile, her heart leaping with joy. This was absolutely not the reaction of an ordinary office worker being told to pull an all-nighter. I suddenly remembered who that name belonged to. Zhang Jing had a habit of scrolling through Xiaohongshu every night before sleep. A few days ago, when I was drunk and thirsty in the middle of the night, I got up to drink water and saw her replying to a post under Shoujing Yisheng's update. Noticing I was awake, she immediately put away her phone. "Honey, why are you up? Are you thirsty?" She heard me gulp down a mouthful of saliva. She immediately turned on the light and trotted out to pour me a glass of warm water. Only, when she went out, she was still clutching her phone in her hand. Dizzy and groggy as I was, I didn't think much of it at the time, just marveled at my good fortune to have such a caring wife. After I finished the water, she turned off the light and snuggled right into my arms. A tender kiss fell upon my eyes and lips, while a pair of arms held me tightly. If I hadn't vaguely remembered her pregnancy in my days, I truly wouldn't have been able to control myself. At this thought, I unconsciously clenched my fists. The carefully prepared surprise in the drawer no longer held any interest for me to retrieve. My mind was in turmoil. As a man, as a husband, I should trust her. I tried to convince myself that she just went to let that admirer who had loved her for 7 years down gently. But deep inside, a voice told me, the best way to make an admirer give up shouldn't be ignoring them and cutting off contact. Wouldn't the cruelest method be bringing along her actual fiancé? Yet she lied to me, using overtime work as an excuse. I didn't even dare to think further. She's carrying my child. What if that beast of a man loses control? Or was she just meeting him in passing to make a clean break before heading to the office for overtime? Women chasing men is like piercing through a single layer of gauze. Remembering the words she confessed to me, I couldn't help but despise my own narrow-mindedness. Qin Zhao, I know I'm not pretty enough or outstanding enough, but I promise no one could love you more than I do. After chasing you for 2 years, watching your admirers come and go in waves, I'm the only one who never gave up because loving you has become my entire life. For the first time, my heart was moved. A girl offered me her sincere affection. I'm no unfeeling tree or stone, so it was only a matter of time before her devotion won me over. During our 3 years together, her love never wavered. Her thoughtful care was like spring rain gently nurturing the earth, making me firmly believe I'd found true love. When she unexpectedly became pregnant, I proposed without hesitation. Wanted to build a home with her. Watching the woman spraying perfume on herself, I want to give her a chance. Jing, let me go with you. It's not safe for you to go alone at night. She twirled around and came in my arms. Honey, I don't want you to tire yourself for me. See you tomorrow at the Civil Affairs office. I took a deep breath and held her tighter. Okay. She planted a kiss on my cheek and turned to leave. Only after her figure had disappeared behind the door for quite some time did I open Xiaohongshu to search for that. Shoujing Yisheng. Out of intuition, I clicked on a profile with over 1,000 notes. There, I found the bittersweet chronicle of a boy's 7-year unrequited love for a girl. So bitter it made my blood run cold. The eloquent and ever-changing love confessions put even me to shame. Every confession ended in rejection. He had loved her silently for 7 years. He remained perpetually one step behind Zhang Jing, watching her through university, observing her graduation, witnessing her courtships, seeing her fall into my arms. 7 years. Never wavering in devotion, never giving up. She's getting married. It's time for me to let go. May the one she loved cherish her as I did. May she have a lifetime of peace, joy, and happiness. Someone liked the post and replied, with your blessing. She's sure to be happy. Under every status update, this person would leave a reply, which the man then pinned to the top. Anyone who's not a fool can tell this pinned comment is about the female lead. Suddenly, the man's latest post popped up on the app. She came to see me one last time. I can die without regrets now. Awaiting happiness. Soon someone commented, hoping he could let go of this obsession and move on. Some say it's immoral for a girl to be so persistently entangled when she's about to get married. The man immediately replied, "You're not me. You don't understand how much I love her. Every second I can't see her, I'm tormented with pain. I don't know whether to feel heartbroken for this man or sorrowful for myself, because the location tag on his update was precisely the hotel where we're about to hold our wedding. And when I quickly scrolled through all his posts, I realized he and Zhang Jing had met privately numerous times. Every place she took him to visit were spots we'd previously gone on dates. When I checked my chat history with Zhang Jing, I discovered their meetups always coincided with days I was busy with surgeries and couldn't accompany her. It felt like being struck by lightning. I believe Zhang Jing loves me. If she loved this man, she wouldn't have pursued me for 2 years, nor would she have secretly given up a promotion opportunity after getting pregnant. All the behaviors recorded by this man inevitably reminded me of some painful memories. I don't want to lump Zhang Jing together with that scumbag of a mother I have, even for someone I've loved with all my heart. When her behavior was inappropriate, I still found excuses to justify her actions. I drove to the hotel, but after much hesitation, I didn't rush upstairs directly. Sitting in the car, I first called Zhang Jing's colleague. Before I could speak, her female colleague teased, "Jing, aren't you supposed to be resting for the baby? What? You want to see how miserable we look pulling all-nighters?" I didn't respond and hung up. Zhang Jing sometimes used my phone to call colleagues, so the female co-worker instinctively assumed the call was from her. After hanging up, I grew increasingly restless. Zhang Jing's company did have overtime work tonight, but she wasn't required to stay. So when she told me she was pulling an all-nighter at work, the answer is obvious. Was she planning to spend the night with that man as a final farewell? And she's carrying my child. How dare she? Anger, resentment, heartbreak. All these emotions collided violently in my chest. I got out of the car, bought a pack of cigarettes and a lighter from a convenience store, and forced myself to calm down as I smoked. By the time half the pack was gone, I called Zhang Jing. She only picked up after 7 or 8 rings. I asked her what she was doing. She cleared her throat and whispered, "Honey, I'm busy right now." Even though she lowered her voice, I could still hear the huskiness in it. That was the uncontrollable change in her voice when passion took over. The cigarette burned my fingers, but I didn't even notice. The last thread of sanity in my mind snapped. The answer to how she ended it was staring me in the face, but I didn't want to believe it. Couldn't bring myself to believe it. Fumbling to stub out the cigarette, my voice came out hoarse. "All right, I won't disturb you then. No need tomorrow." I wanted to cancel tomorrow's marriage registration appointment to cut my losses in time. But Zhang Jing coaxed me. "Honey, don't worry about me. I'll definitely be waiting for you at the Civil Affairs Bureau on time tomorrow. Be a good boy and go to sleep now. I'll bring you your favorite soup, dumplings tomorrow." Her words were swallowed by something. "Honey, my boss caught me slacking off at work. I gotta go." The last shred of my rationality vanished completely after that muffled moan. What were she and that man doing? During the prenatal checkup, the doctor specifically warned me to abstain from intimacy before the first trimester ends. I've been restraining myself like a monk for over a month, not daring to touch her. Yet Zhang Jing let my child meet another man first. A man and woman alone together in one room all night. As a man, only a fool would believe they were just saying goodbye to end their relationship. How could Zhang Jing arrange to meet me at the Civil Affairs Bureau while secretly fooling around with that bastard, and still manage to show me the same tenderness as before? Is this a habit ingrained in her bones, or just guilt? What the hell does she take me for? If it weren't for that man's various desperate posts about unrequited love, I'd almost suspect whether the child in Zhang Jing's belly is actually mine. I think I understand now what that man meant by awaiting happiness to descend. This happiness isn't that happiness. It's just sex. I refuse to believe Zhang Jing didn't understand this. It was precisely because she understood, and had even made up her mind long ago, that she told me she had to work overtime all night. If she had been unwilling, she would have cried for help in the phone call just now. But she did nothing. In my mind, the images of the two of them entangled together kept assaulting me. A 5-star hotel with extremely strict management. The front desk clerk refused to disclose any information, citing customer privacy. I put on a pleading smile, begging her to make an exception. But the young woman was convinced I was causing trouble in the middle of the night and threatened to call the police. Frustrated, I returned to my car to think of another way. The phone rang again. It was Zhang Jing's female colleague. "Hello, Brother Zhao. I need to speak to Sister Jing urgently about a document. Her phone isn't answering. Could you pass along the message?" Got it. Zhang Jing was busy. How could she possibly answer the phone? I called 3 times in a row with no answer. Then Zhang Jing texted me back. "Honey, stop fooling around. The There wasn't a single reason left that could convince me to make excuses for Zhang Jing anymore. I had a sudden inspiration and checked the man's Xiaohongshu account. Sure enough, there was an update. Just one sentence. 520. I went back to the hotel and asked to open room 520. But the staff informed me it was already occupied. Just as I thought, I booked a room on the 5th floor for myself. And the receptionist handed me the key card with a smile. Taking the key card, I headed straight for the 5th floor. As I was leaving, the receptionist kindly reminded me, Mr. Qin, remember not to act on impulse in all matters. I suppressed the fury in my heart. Turns out I'd been thoroughly cuckolded. At the door of room 520, my hand hovered over the doorbell, unable to press it for the longest time. Even with the decent soundproofing, I could still clearly hear the familiar moans coming from inside. The sound felt like a boulder pressing against my chest. I hesitated for 3 breaths between calling the police and barging in directly. The wedding was definitely off, but I had to know which bastard was cuckolding me. I rang the doorbell and waited quite a while before someone answered. The moment our eyes met, a fire ignited in my heart. Zhao Ge, is that you? For the guilty man decisively slammed the door shut. I reacted instantly, throwing the door open with a violent push. Never in my wildest dreams did I imagine the guy lusting after my girlfriend would be my junior. Lin Ziquan, he stood there in a bathrobe. The sheen of sweat on his forehead practically blinding me. Looked like they just finished. He desperately blocked me from entering, so I punched him hard in the face. Caught off guard, Lin Ziquan staggered backward. I also clearly saw Zhang Jing lying on the bed. Her bare shoulders and chest were covered in red marks. The moment she saw me, she panicked and scrambled to pick up the scattered clothes nearby. As she dressed under the covers, I noticed the sticky fluid on the roses that had fallen to the floor. I felt so disgusted I wanted to vomit. She's already pregnant, and they didn't even bother with protection. My heart felt like it was about to explode from the pain. But I forced myself to walk step by step toward Zhang Jing. Lin Ziquan immediately rushed over to block my path. His face flushed red as he shielded Zhang Jing behind him. Brother Zhao, I'm sorry. It's all my fault. Don't blame Xiao Jing. Still seething with anger, I clenched my fist again and swung at him. Just as my fist was about to land on Lin Ziquan's temple, Zhang Jing desperately grabbed my hand and knelt down to beg me. Honey, it was a moment of weakness. Please don't hit Ziquan. Ziquan, how affectionate that sounds. Lin Ziquan watched Zhang Jing kneeling on the ground, her eyes red and swollen. But no matter how hard he pulled, she refused to get up. Gritting his teeth, Lin Ziquan knelt down as well, shielding Zhang Jing behind him once more, probably afraid I'd hit Zhang Jing. Brother Zhao, it was me who seduced Xiao Jing. I forced her. I begged her to see me one last time. It was me begging her, just this once. After tonight, I swear I'll disappear from your lives forever. Brother Zhao, I know I've wronged you, but I'm truly so in love with Xiao Jing. It's just that she only loves you. Hearing such shameless words from the junior I'd personally mentored made me want to kill him with my bare hands. As for Zhang Jing, she collapsed behind Lin Ziquan, weeping uncontrollably. I pointed at the faint bloodstains on the bed and hoarsely confronted Zhang Jing. Is this how you respond whenever someone loves you? Have you forgotten you're pregnant? Zhang Jing clutched her stomach in agony. Darling, please spare Ziquan. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have been weak. Ziquan has loved me for 7 years without being able to win my heart. I just pitted him too much. Her single word, pity, nearly gave me a heart attack from anger. I couldn't stay in that room for one more second. As I slammed the door behind me, Zhang Jing immediately followed me into the hallway, her face full of anguish. Honey, please believe me. I really don't love him. Tonight was our first time. I just saw how he'd been chasing after me for 7 years. And it reminded me of those 2 years I spent chasing you. You don't understand the pain of unrequited love. After tonight, he'll have no right to love me anymore. His love was too profound, and I had no way to repay him. When he said he wanted to give me his first time, I don't know what came over me. Honey, I just felt so sorry for him seeing how miserable he was. I suddenly stopped in my tracks and turned back to look at Zhang Jing in shock. At that moment, I felt utterly disgusted with myself for having loved such a woman. And Zhang Jing was still trying to make me understand how deeply Lin Ziquan loved her. As if her giving herself to Lin Ziquan was as trivial as treating someone to a meal. When Zhang Jing and I intertwined our fingers, my stomach churned. I shook off her hand and stepped back, wanting nothing more than to put distance between myself and this repulsive woman. Seeing me react this way, Zhang Jing clutched her belly, her eyes filled with anguish. Honey, please don't be like this. For the child's sake, could you? I couldn't help but roar at her. Get out. Who the hell knows whose child this is? Lin Ziquan changed his clothes and came out. Seeing me so furious, he actually straightened his back and scolded me. Qin Zhao, you can hit me or curse me all you want, but you're not allowed to insult Xiao Jing. She truly loves you. If she had even the slightest affection for me, you would have been out of the picture long ago. Who the child at her belly really belongs to, you know it better than anyone. Rage burned fiercely in my chest, scorching my insides until I could barely breathe. It also reduced the only girl I ever loved to ashes in my heart. I believe Zhang Jing did love me, but this love that could supposedly save all souls. I can't afford it. I'd rather she cheated because she didn't love me than betray me while claiming to love me. She doesn't even think she did anything wrong. Every word she says is defending Lin Ziquan, and Lin Ziquan takes pride in being some kind of pure love warrior. They trampled my dignity and pride into the dirt, then blamed me for being angry. I never knew Zhang Jing had known Lin Ziquan longer than she'd known me. Every time she came to the hospital to see me and exchanged greetings with Lin Ziquan, I thought it was because of our relationship. Lin Ziquan's beast-like glare was nothing less than an accusation that I'd stolen his love. Love knows no first come. First served, Zhang Jing pursued me until we were about to get married. Yet, I never knew Lin Ziquan had secretly loved her for 7 years. Zhang Jing knew I had stomach problems and would always carefully prepare breakfast for me. The year we graduated, I was supposed to go to Germany for further studies. But at that time, Zhang Jing and I were deeply in love. There's no difference between men and women when they're in love. Love struck, I decided to give up studying abroad. It was Zhang Jingning who tearfully insisted on sending me to the airport, refusing to let me give up the opportunity for further education. She said she loved me and wouldn't allow me to sacrifice my future for her. Qin Zhao, I'll wait for you to come back and marry me. When I was abroad with a persistent high fever and unreachable, Zhang Jing. She appeared by my hospital bed that night, giving me physical cooling treatments and cooking porridge for me. Later, on the day I returned to the country, I told her my flight was delayed and not to wait for me. Yet she foolishly stayed at the airport all night waiting. After returning home, we moved in together. Wedding plans began to take shape, but unexpectedly, she became pregnant. I meticulously prepared the proposal, and when the diamond ring slipped onto her finger, her eyes shimmered with crystalline tears, radiant as a sky full of twinkling stars. The girl who once adored me with every fiber of her being, and the girl now sobbing before me. Which one is real? She was the one who tenderly uprooted the thorns from the chambers of my heart and planted flowers in their place. Yet now, she's the one who has destroyed it all. I hate her. I wish I could tear her apart like a wild beast, devour her bones and flesh, so she would belong to me forever. It feels like I'm back on the day my mother abandoned me and my father for another man. Back then, I knelt and begged her with tears not to leave me, but she walked away without hesitation. Now, I won't kneel and beg someone who abandoned me first. I clench my fists tightly, letting my nails dig into my palms. When I open my hands, my palms were already a bloody mess. But this physical pain couldn't begin to cover up the agony in my heart. For the first time, I understood why my father hadn't joined me in begging my mother to stay back then. Because I wasn't worthy. When my mother had her affair, my father simply divorced her calmly and let her go. When my mother left, she wept bitterly just like Zhang Jing. Zhao Zhao, mommy loves you. But mommy, Qin Zhao, I love you. Zhang Jing gradually merged with the long-forgotten image of my mother in my memory. What kind of love demands abandoning husband and child, never to meet again? And what kind of love requires carrying my child while surrendering to another? The fury dissipates. I let the blood drip from my palm. It's over between us. Get rid of the baby. It wasn't that my father didn't want to keep my mother. He just didn't want to be entangled with a trashy woman. Neither do I want to waste the rest of my life on a morally bankrupt woman. Who knows if she and Lin Ziquan would meet again. And again. 6 as I turned to leave. Zhang Jing's face drained of color as she screamed in panic. No, I won't agree to end this. I refuse. I want to board our child. As I stepped into the elevator, she rushed after me, clutching my arm tightly. The physical intimacy I once craved now made me nauseous with uncontrollable revulsion. Her touch felt like countless maggots crawling across my skin. It was the first time I'd ever struck a woman. Zhang Jing. Don't fucking touch me. You're disgusting. Even though I held back at the last moment. 5 bloody finger marks immediately bloomed across Zhang Jing's pale face, covering the strawberry mark that had been stinging my eyes. She covered her cheek and slapped me back fiercely, murmuring in disbelief. Qin Zhao, you hit me. How could you bear to hit me? Did she really think I treated her like a princess in the palm of my hand? I admit hitting a woman is despicable, but shouldn't I have hit her? Are men just supposed to endure this level of humiliation and smile, saying it's fine? Sorry, I don't have that kind of magnanimity. If the roles were reversed, if I were the one cheating, Zhang Jing would skin me alive. The deeper the love, the heavier the hurt. I could still hold back my strength at the last moment. But she put all her force into that slap. My face went numb. My head spun. I swallowed the metallic taste in my mouth, roughly wiping away the blood that had seeped from the corner of my lips. My eyes red but silent. Zhang Jing, however, looked like a child who had done something wrong. She wanted to touch my swollen face, but didn't dare. finally clutching my hand instead. Qin Zhao, hit me. As long as you can forgive me, I won't complain. Her act of being so desperately in love with me was even more off-putting than if I had slapped her. I couldn't bear to see her like this and quickly pressed the elevator close button. But how could Lin Ziquan stand to see the love of his life humiliating herself like this? With a powerful yank, he pulled me out of the elevator. Qin Zhao, what right do you have to hit Xiaojing? How dare you treat her this way? Is this how you repay her sincere devotion? You can't treat her with such contempt and abandon her just because she loved you so humbly she'd stoop to dust. Lin Ziquan raved like a madman. Do you know what she gave up to go abroad and care for you when you had a fever that year? That was the job offer she'd fought so hard to get. Do you know that on the day you returned to the country, she endured menstrual cramps and struggled to wait for you at the airport all night just to pick you up? Do you know she drank with clients until she got a stomach hemorrhage just to feel worthy of you? Your family background is so privileged, so you assume everything she has came easily to her. She only pretended it was effortless to put you at ease. She even worked overnight shifts at the company while pregnant. Who do you think she did that for? If it weren't for my desperate pleas for her to take care of her health and your child, she'd still be working overtime at the company right now. Qin Zhao, as a man, you're a complete failure. You take her love, care, and devotion for granted. But ask yourself honestly, do you even deserve her love? If someone must bear the consequences for today's events, then I'll take the blame. Hit me, curse at me, vent your anger on me. If you have any conscience left, you should take responsibility for the child in her womb, not force her to get an abortion. As long as you can love her the way she loves you. I, Lin Ziquan, swear to disappear from your lives forever. But if you can't, I won't hesitate to raise that child as my own. Every word they uttered was condemning me to highlight their love. How touching. Watching him rant with flying spittle, I found it utterly absurd. Should I be grateful that he persuaded Zhang Jing into bed rather than the office? The most ridiculous part was Zhang Jing silently shedding tears behind him, looking deeply moved. So, did Lin Ziquan speak what was truly in her heart? Was her care and love for me wrapped in so much grievance and resentment? Yet she never showed me the slightest hint of it, nor did I ever ask her to sacrifice so much for me. When she pursued me, I repeatedly made it clear that I had no interest in romance. It was her relentless persistence that broke into my heart and made me fall in love with her. Now, even an outsider can recount her grievances in detail, and it has become irrefutable proof that I don't love her. How could my love for her be any less than what she has given? That year after completing my advanced studies, I could have stayed with Germany's top medical team, but because of her, I didn't want her to suffer the pain of long-distance longing. I resolutely returned to China, nearly breaking ties with my father over this decision. The Fortune 500 company offer she gave up for me was something I secured for her through special connections, coaching her repeatedly on interview techniques. Without me, her resume wouldn't have passed the first round. After returning home, worried about her strong sense of pride, I secretly pulled strings to get her a higher-paying job. I told her she didn't need to work so hard, but she insisted that women need to prove they're not just pretty faces. I assured her I could provide for her even if she didn't work, but she said she didn't want to live a life dependent on handouts. Lin Ziquan only knew that Zhang Jing made porridge for me as breakfast, but he didn't know I could rush between surgeries to bring her late-night snacks filled with love. I respected Zhang Jing's desire to be an independent, self-reliant woman of the new era. On nights, she worked overtime. I did my best to accompany her whenever I stepped off the operating table. If this doesn't count as love, then I deserve this pain. Some of my heart aches so badly I can barely breathe. I don't know how Zhang Jing told Lin Ziquan about those so-called grievances of hers, when another man recounted these grievances to me. Beyond feeling humiliated and distressed, I was utterly horrified. My daily life with Zhang Jing was completely transparent to Lin Ziquan. This reminded me of the over 1,000 notes on Lin Ziquan's social media account and Zhang Jing's interactions with them. I couldn't help but destroy the two people before me. Lin Ziquan's mouth was still opening and closing when I mercilessly cut him off. You're right. I never loved Zhang Qian at all. Since you love her so much, you can have her. Lin Ziquan immediately fell silent. He exchanged a glance with Zhang Jing, both of them utterly dumbfounded. Zhang Jing looked at me with a wounded expression and asked, Qin Zhao, are you abandoning me? Did you never truly love me? How ridiculous. As if she doesn't know the answer to whether there was love or not. Yes. With that, I turned and fled down the stairs without looking back, desperate to escape this suffocating place. Qin Zhao, if you dare walk away, I swear I'll abort this child. I won't chase after you ever again. Qin Zhao, don't you dare regret this later. Once the baby's gone, we're through for good. Zhang Jing wailed miserably behind me, her cries brimming with grievance and the fury of abandonment. I checked out of the hotel and left resolutely. On the way, I encountered a beggar. I took off my wedding ring and casually tossed it into his bowl. There was no going back to the marital home now. I drove back to my dad's house. My dad opened the door. saw me alone, and looked behind me. Where's Jingjing? At this moment, I couldn't hold it together anymore. I slumped onto the sofa, covering my face as I began to cry. Men don't shed tears easily, but only because they haven't reached the depths of sorrow. At this moment, I was transported back to when my mother abandoned me and left without hesitation. The heavens collapsed and the earth split apart, leaving not a single glimmer of light in the world. Just now, in the hotel, facing the double betrayal from my closest person, I felt both furious and disgusted. Lin Ziqian came from a poor family since childhood, and no one knows how much effort it took for him to get into medical school. I was so immersed in medicine that I never noticed such a junior student. It was Zhang Jing who came to the lab waiting for me and happened to mention Lin Ziqian. She said she never expected anyone to be more of a medical nerd than me. That was when I started paying attention to Lin Ziqian, getting to know him, and securing resources for him. He had average talent, but made up for it with sheer hard work. Zhang Jing said she couldn't bear to see such a boy who wanted to heal the world, be buried by worldly affairs. So I was moved to compassion. When Lin Ziqian was doing his internship, I was studying abroad, so I had him work under my father, and in turn personally mentored by the dean, who wouldn't rush to curry favor with him. But he lacked social graces, and his interactions with patients repeatedly sparked intense doctor-patient conflicts. Every time, it was my father who stepped in to apologize and clean up his mess. Given his temperament wasn't suited for clinical practice, we arranged a more suitable position for him. Even when his mother fell ill and couldn't get an appointment with top specialists for surgery, it was my father and I who pulled strings to get her through the back door. Otherwise, given his mother's condition at the time, even if an ordinary doctor had performed the surgery, she wouldn't have made it off the operating table, because during the surgery, they discovered the actual situation was worse than the examination had shown. He didn't openly try to steal Zhang Jing from me, perhaps out of gratitude for these kindnesses. My dad was stunned when he found me crying. Since my mother passed away, I have never cried again. A man nearly 30, sobbing uncontrollably. How utterly ridiculous. I just couldn't help myself. My dad placed a case of beer on the coffee table and gave my shoulder a gentle pat. Son, once you're done crying, have a drink with your dad. No matter how big the problem is, don't be afraid. Your dad's got your back. Back when my mother left, he said the same thing to me. Indeed, the only person in this world who truly loves me unconditionally is my father. After calming down, I washed my face, then grabbed a bottle of beer and gulped it down. One swig after another. After a long silence, she finally confessed everything to my father. My dad let out a long sigh and silently took a sip of liquor. Son, I've told you before, never make decisions when you're angry. Have you thought it through now? With reddened eyes, I nodded. All right, I made up my mind. This wedding is off. Out of respect for our past, I'll cover the abortion and recovery expenses. But everything else that doesn't belong to them, I'm taking it all back. Otherwise, I can't swallow this injustice. Perhaps it was my youthful impetuosity, or perhaps I lacked the vulnerability of having a child like my father did back then. I couldn't brush it off with the same effortless smile. The lump of flesh in Zhang Jing's belly was no longer the apple of my eye. Once trust crumbles, I can no longer firmly believe that child is mine. I thought my dad would advise me not to waste my time on that scumbag and his mistress, but he just clinked glasses with me. No matter what decision you make, I'll support you. 8. I worked 3 straight days in the operating room, and Lin Ziqian didn't show up at the hospital for those 3 days. I didn't need to think to know what he'd been doing all this time. When I entered the marital home, I shared with Zhang Jing, accompanied by my lawyer. She was sitting on the sofa drinking alone. Meanwhile, Lin Ziqian was bustling around the kitchen wearing my apron, preparing a lavish romantic meal. The familiar aroma wafted into my nostrils. Given Zhang Jing's current state, there was no way she could have cooked it. Once again, this sight and scent sent me into a rage. I had no idea how many of the meals I'd eaten were actually cooked by Lin Ziqian, or worse, taught to her by Lin Ziqian's own hands. When she noticed my return, Zhang Jing rushed toward me with flushed cheeks and dazed eyes, but I sidestepped her embrace. I looked at her coldly. Zhang Jing, it's completely over between us. Please have some self-respect. Lin Ziqian hurried out of the kitchen with a spatula in hand to support Zhang Jing. On his face was a sly smile I'd never seen before, his tone brimming with smug pride. Qin Zhao, Xiao Jing mistook you for me. With that, he draped his arm around Zhang Jing's waist as if declaring ownership. Zhang Jing, for her part, obediently nestled into his embrace. I scoffed softly, unwilling to speak. I went straight to the room to pack my things, while the lawyer handed a lawsuit document to Zhang Jing. Lin Ziqian watched me rummaging around and shouted loudly. Qin Zhao, this is Xiao Jing's home. You're trespassing on private property. I just kept packing my clothes and personal belongings. Lin Ziqian, seeing that I was ignoring him, snatched the lawsuit document and immediately flew into a rage. Qin Zhao, you're truly heartless. Xiao Jing is carrying your child, yet you call off the wedding, and now you're trying to take her house too. Have you no shame? Shame. The two most shameless people are actually asking me if I have any. Zhang Jing seemed somewhat sober now, yet she still clung tightly to Lin Ziquan's embrace, as if afraid I might strike her again. Mr. Lin, this property was gifted to Miss Zhang Jing on the condition of marriage. Now that the two have broken up, it naturally should be returned to my client, Mr. Qin. Zhang Jing pressed her lips together tightly, staring at me with unwavering intensity. Qin Zhao, are you really leaving no room for any affection at all? Were all these beautiful years we shared just a dream? I pushed my suitcase forward with a cold laugh. Zhang Jing, I gave you chances. It was you who destroyed our happiness for this man's sake. You were the one who abandoned our relationship first. Didn't you pity Lin Ziquan's suffering from unrequited love? Didn't you want to be an independent woman of the new era? Well then, the two of you can start your wonderful new life together. Lin Ziquan was momentarily speechless, finally using the child as an excuse. Xiao Jing is carrying your child. How could you bear to strike so cruelly, killing both body and spirit? Xiao Jing, is this the man you've loved for years? You tear your heart out for him, yet he wounds you like this. Hearing this, Zhang Jing's tears fell in torrents. Qin Zhao, you're too cruel. I'll give the house back to you. As for the child, unless I die, I will definitely give birth to him. I want him to know how heartlessly his father abandoned us. Mother and child. I smiled faintly and said casually, do as you please. Since someone's eager to play the fool and take your leftovers, I won't stand in the way of your little romance. A fleeting ferocity crossed Lin Ziquan's face. Knowing him, as I do, if this child were truly mine, Lin Ziquan wouldn't let it live to see birth. After one last look at the home I'd so carefully built, I turned and walked away. It wasn't long before I received a lawsuit. Zhang Jing was suing me as the father of her unborn child, accusing me of being irresponsible and demanding compensation. At that moment, I suddenly felt relieved. The love nurtured with youth had grown so ugly, it was unbearable to behold. Zhang Jing cooperated by transferring the house to me, and I cooperated by paying the compensation. We're even. When I listed the house for sale through an agent, Lin Ziquan and Zhang Jing were still living there together without having moved out. The buyer thought I was being dishonest. I had no choice but to tell him it was a case of illegal trespassing by a stranger and that we could sue the other party. Once again, I built layer upon layer of fences around that battered heart of mine. Lin Ziquan had already taken over half a month's leave to accompany Zhang Jing, with frequent mistakes at work. Even without me saying a word, Lin Ziquan was fired on my father's orders. No one would have thought the dean would turn against his former protege, and everyone was speculating about the reasons. I kindly made public all of Lin Ziquan's work mistakes. I also openly told everyone about his scandal with Zhang Jing. In no time, everyone was eager to kick a man when he was down. Lin Ziquan was always just an utterly ordinary nobody. The halo he once had was merely something my father bestowed upon him. Now that the halo has faded, he's reverted to being ordinary. Naturally, no hospital would want such a troublemaker. I've reconnected with the medical team from my days in Germany and successfully joined them. I'll be going abroad soon. While handing over my hospital duties, a colleague whispered mysteriously to me, Bro Zhao, your ex-girlfriend was beaten and had a miscarriage. Hearing about the miscarriage gave me a pang of pain. But this was an outcome that had been inevitable all along. Lin Ziquan had already lost his job and was fuming. If Zhang Jing was truly determined to keep the baby, how could Lin Ziquan possibly agree to be the fall guy? As a man myself, I couldn't accept Zhang Jing's one-night mistake. What kind of magnanimity would Lin Ziquan have to accept her bearing my child? Especially since Zhang Jing had loved me for so many years. Lin Ziquan had no sense of security whatsoever. This child was nothing but a thorn in Lin Ziquan's heart. Keeping it would only serve as a constant reminder of how many years Zhang Jing had loved me, and how many years he had secretly pined for her in the shadows. No one wants to recall past bitterness and humiliation. What surprised me, however, was that after Zhang Jing's miscarriage, when she accepted a stranger's casual help, Lin Ziquan flew into a rage over it, only to later kneel before her in tears, begging for forgiveness. And Zhang Jing actually forgave him. Due to the cheating scandal, Zhang Jing resigned from her job, and Lin Ziquan proposed to her. But Zhang Jing's mother firmly opposed the marriage. Her former mother-in-law traveled a long distance to visit me, admitting Zhang Jing's mistake on her behalf and begging me to forgive her momentary lapse in judgment for the sake of our past relationship. I regretfully declined. Annie, at this point, there's no room for turning back. I saw Zhang Jing again at the airport. She had somehow obtained my flight information. After the miscarriage, she looked gaunt and pale, her hair disheveled over her shoulders, her eyes filled with unconcealable exhaustion and sorrow. She was no longer the pampered red rose I had cherished. I wore sunglasses and pulled my baseball cap low, pretending not to see her. Yet she spotted me in the crowd at a glance, frantically pushing through to grab my suitcase. Qin Zhao, can't you stay? Please, once, for the sake of my future. She had urged me to study abroad despite her reluctance. Now, for her own selfish reasons. She's begging me not to leave, even though she knows it's impossible. She knows that once I walk away, there's no chance for us anymore. 11. I pried her fingers open forcefully and said word by word, "Miss, you've mistaken me for someone else." But she stubbornly blocked my path. Qin Zhao, I was wrong. I was truly wrong. The airport entrance was already crowded with people. Her blocking me from leaving caused a traffic jam, and airport security came over to pull her aside, telling her not to make a scene. It was unclear which words had struck a nerve, but her figure suddenly swayed unsteadily, tears falling before she could speak. "Qin Zhao, did you truly never love me? Do you know how much it hurt when a child was torn from my body? That unborn child remains an eternal pain in my heart. Zhang Jing, you and Lin Ziqian are truly made for each other. You both forever dwell in your own sacrifices, yet never feel the sacrifices of others. Even if I once loved you, what does it matter now? As you said, with the child gone, we're completely finished. Having loved you is like maggots clinging to bones. It makes me sick. The moment you chose to deceive me and give yourself to Lin Ziqian, there was no turning back. I hinted at you, called you, yet you never pulled away. So I should be the one asking, did you ever truly love me?" At that moment, a familiar figure came rushing over. It's Lin Ziqian. He was panting heavily, shielding Zhang Jing behind him like a mother hen protecting her chicks. "Xiao Jing, what are you doing? Are you still hung up on him?" His answer was a slap from Zhang Jing. "May you two be chained together forever." With those words, I left without a trace of nostalgia. I next heard news about Zhang Jing a year later. She didn't marry Lin Ziqian after all, but instead had a whirlwind marriage with a child-free partner she met through a blind date. I don't know what she meant by this move. Her life is hers alone to control, and it has nothing more to do with me. Lin Ziqian chose to return to his rural hometown because of his mother's health and married a girl who hadn't even finished middle school. To say I wasn't sighing in regret would be a lie. They had once loved so passionately. I thought Lin Ziqian would never settle for anyone but Zhang Jing, and that Zhang Jing would be moved by so-called true love. Lin Ziqian and I had been openly and covertly competing for decades, but in the end, he still lost. Zhang Jing wasn't as empathetic to Lin Ziqian's love and pain as she claimed to be. She simply enjoyed the process of being pursued and loved. Those who want everything often end up with nothing. A love triangle that nearly broke me has finally ended, and my life is setting sail anew. The sunlight was just right, the breeze gentle, and the red roses in the park bloomed with intoxicating beauty. The end.